Rose-Hulman had its first presence in the radio waves in the 1930s with WRPI, which is pretty much an AM radio station. Then we started having our own radio station, WRTR, in the 1960s, where we broadcasted in Munch Hall. In 1971, we relocated here in BSB Hall. We still operate here today. And as such, it was the early 1980s where we finally solidified ourselves as a radio station, as from WRTR to WMHD. And so we made ourselves a club in 1981, and the following year we have released our new programming schedule.
Disregard that. Would you rather be smart and ugly or a beautiful idiot?
It was the biggest boom in radio. We had just gotten our FM station. It was a huge time. That was the biggest we've ever been in the club's history. We had a ton of people. We had radio programs going 24/7. And at that time, a radio program wasn't pre-recorded. There would literally be people down in the station at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. playing songs, switching the tracks, putting on new records, new cassettes, all that stuff. However, around 1990s, you start getting CDs and CD players, which eventually led into iPods and all that. But the ability to carry music with you, personalized playlists with you, and listen wherever you are, really kind of decreased the need for radio. People didn't want to listen to the radio anymore because I could just choose what I want. I can put it on a CD. I can listen to it that way. And so we slowly started to see a drop in the number of people at radio, the number of people who were listening to the radio, all of that. So to try and generate interest, we decided we needed a mascot. And what better mascot than a gorilla?
872-6924. If you call, you will get a free ticket to the concert. It's tonight at the Ballyhoo Tavern at 10 o'clock. I think the doors open, or I don't know if the doors are open the whole time.
Yeah, they're open all
The
night
band's
long.
going on at 11, so.
Yes.
There's a bunch of people who are interested in doing podcasts. They're really picking up these days. We have a bunch of old computers, might as well use them. So Keith, our equipment director at the time, wrote down a list of this is all the equipment we need. So I went in along with the treasurer, and we argued our way to a bunch of equipment, and we set up the podcast room with what we had. We needed another position to help manage this. One, manage the bookings of the podcast room and the equipment in there, and then also manage the radio station and try and get more people's podcasts onto the radio station, as well as organize the music. So we ended up bringing back the position of a program director, program manager.
I started hanging around WMHD, I think, around sophomore year. And then it was, end of junior year into senior year, I became program director, which was like a revived officer role. We didn't have one for a good couple of years, and then it came back once we had the podcasting studio and we had our online radio station. Main responsibilities were trying to get people to start using the new podcasting equipment, sorting it out, getting people to start creating their own shows. And then, just kind of programming the online station, figuring out what music needs to go in which hours of the day.
I'm the program director here, and back when we had a actual radio station, they were in charge of picking exactly everything that's on the air right now, or at a certain time. Now that we don't have broadcast radio, the job it doesn't really have a label anymore. It's kind of just like an extra pair of hands around. They just do whatever needs to get done.
Since we barely get any listeners nowadays on radio.co, we have decided to shift our focus towards Spotify, especially when students want to record their own music and their own podcasts as well. In fact, this year we have established radio theater, and we have collaborated with Rose Drama Club, and we even added a new officer called the podcasting director.
I am the first officer in this position. This position was created because we had a group called Radio Theater that was constantly coming in and using the space. And we realized that that group, which I'm a part of, did not have a lot of support from WMHD themselves. They didn't have the infrastructure.
This summer, we are getting rid of our online radio station because we switched from broadcast to online, and the online radio station is way too expensive, and there's just not enough space in our budget. So we're reforming a little bit. We're cutting our online radio station, and we are moving towards more of a record label than a radio station. So people we're gonna get this this subscription where we can get a certain amount of artists, so any person in Rose can come and become an artist on Spotify or whatever platform they want, and they can record music and they can upload it through us. Like, we can record it for them and upload it for them, and they can just have their music on whatever platform they want.